Next up, we have the lovely Beth Mathews. Give it up for Beth.
Thank you. Impressive, you guys. I'm going to read a short story that I wrote. The title of the story is The Third Try. The third try was when it happened. The accident imagined played forward in milliseconds, the mistake that could have been prevented. My husband, 13-year-old son, and I were in the second year of a journey from Alaska to Mexico on our 44-foot sailboat. We had sold our home and packed away most of our belongings. We were not on vacation. Sailing was our new life. Cabo San Lucas marked the end of our 750-mile journey down the west side of the Baja Peninsula and our first destination with the harbor since leaving the U.S. In Cabo, we reprovisioned, refueled, and recovered from the push to get to Mexico. On the third morning, Glenn and I walked across town, folded map in hand, in search of his 1 month late birthday gift. We cut behind the main row of high-end jewelry stores, trinket shops, and palapa-fronted restaurants, then walked along a cobbled side street back to a modest dive shop. There we bought the long-awaited gifts, mask, snorkel, and fluorescent diving fins. On the fifth day, we checked the weather. Minimal to no wind predicted. We were ready to press on to the northeast. By mid-morning, a searing sun baked the navigation space. After a 7-hour run with no wind, we motored into Bahia Los Frailes. We set anchor in 58 feet of dazzling water over a sand bottom. Ahead, a white sand beach sloped up to steep dunes. Around us, a dozen scattered sailboats flickered against submerged tethers. All day I had thought about swimming. By then, the sun was one outstretched hand width from disappearing. As the three of us shut down electronics and stowed gear, the air cooled. I considered skipping the swim. Normally, Jim entices me to join him in the water, but this afternoon and for the next 10 days, he couldn't swim because of an injury. During the overnight sail to Cabo, the wind had built to 30 knots. The mainsail boom had slashed his head during an accidental jibe. He should have had a dozen stitches right away. We'd missed the 36-hour window for that. You'll have to stay out of the water while this heals, the white-coated doctor in Cabo has said as he cleaned the 2-inch gash. You two go ahead and swim, Jim said. I can put the rest of the gear away. Thanks, I'd like to try out my new fins, Glenn said. I decided I wanted to be in the water with Glenn. While Jim helped Jim with his new gear, I climbed below to put on my suit. I heard the splash as Glenn leaped into the ocean. Moments later, balanced above the water at the high edge of the boat's bow, I hesitated. From the water below, Glenn started the countdown. 3, Jim joined in. 2, 1, I dove in. I braced for that chilling jolt, a reflex from 20 years in southeastern Alaska. But this ocean was a cool tonic to parched fatigue. I swam out, then floated on my back, the shh of water covering my ears, suspended reverberations that echoed from the day-long drone of the diesel engine. Cool, blurred to comfort. High above, 3 frigate birds circled, black pterodactyls against a blue sky. Glenn swam toward me. Try this, he said. I cranked my arms in large circles to drive my tucked body round and round in backward somersaults, replicating my son's aquatic tumbling. He dove and turned, his bright flippers disappeared from my above-water view. I heard him surface but couldn't see him. Hey, I just swam under the boat, Glenn called from the other side. He was still learning how to swim and dive with a snorkel and mask. After 15 minutes, I asked Jim to pass down my mask and fins so I could scrub algae from the hull. A miniature marine forest thrived where water and air met, and the red brick anti-fouling bottom paint had failed. As I scrubbed the living edge, I looked down through my mask at our fin keel, the bronze prop, the skeg rudder. Something was wrong. After surfacing, I spit out my mouthpiece. Jim, there's a line wrapped around our prop and shaft. Really? Is it holding the blades out? It's not. They're folded back with a line around them. What kind of line? Monofilament. It's wrapped and tangled on. Can you cut it off? It needs to be removed before we can start the engine. I think so. I'll get you a knife. Normally, Jim would have taken care of this. I can help, Glenn said. Something inside my gut shifted, like a balanced boulder that toggled onto a different face. I didn't want him to try to remove the line. Thanks, Glenn. Let me give it a try first. After Jim passed down the knife to me, I dove, letting the curve of the hull, as smooth as a pregnant woman's belly, guide me toward the prop. A small yellow fish flitted by, followed by its twin. I slipped the knife tip under a section of line and pulled. Nothing happened. I started to push and pull against the line, but realized I was already running out of air. Although in good shape from maneuvering around the boat and hiking, I'd only snorkeled a handful of times since leaving Alaska. I wasn't at that zen stage of breath-holding comfort. I glided to the surface 5 feet up and out, took 8 deep breaths, and focused on relaxing before angling back down again. Once submerged, I lifted a clump of gray-blue line and pulled. I needed counter-tension. I grabbed that section of line with my left hand while my right sawed forward and back, forward and back. Do I need to breathe yet? Not yet. Hold on, stay down longer. I cut away at the tangle. I felt one and a second strand of line snap, but the main snarl remained wound around the shaft of the prop. I swallowed hard, shoving back the desire to inhale. That's when I saw 2 hooks matted in further aft. Get up for air. A different part of my brain took over, overriding my desire to stay longer. I bobbed up, expelling a bolus of air to clear my snorkel and inhaled hard. Jim was looking down, leaning out over the lifelines, the gauze bandage nested at the edge of his thick hair. Through my mask, he appeared stretched, like in a circus mirror. How'd it go, he asked. Want to try this knife? He had sharpened a second knife. Sure, I said, chest rising and dropping with each recovery inhalation. I can help, Glenn offered again. We can take turns. Thanks, but I want to do this. Maybe we should finish tomorrow, I called up to Jim, when the light is better. There are 2 hooks matted in with the line. In the tropics, darkness falls fast. Although there was no forecast for increasing wind, it would be best to know the line was off before we went to sleep, in case we needed to re-anchor or leave in the dark. I'll try once more tonight, I said before Jim could reply. I stretched my mask back down, extracting strands of hair from the edges, and arched around to tighten the strap on my left flipper. I hovered above the spot, face submerged in turquoise shafted water. Through my snorkel, I noticed the smooth strum of air swirling in, the hollow hum of air funneling out. The duo of yellow fish swam by again within arm's reach. Deliberate deep inhalation, slow exhalation, 3 more calm breaths, getting ready, slowing my heart rate, final inhalation. Okay, now, pike at the waist, kick, slide down, free the line. Repositioned below the boat's stern, I slipped the sharper knife under the thick section of wrapped line and pulled, moving my right hand in and out perpendicular to the prop's axis. With less light, I could no longer see individual strands. A few more broke. I wanted something to hold on to with my left hand, but there was nothing to grab. With the wrapped line loosened, the sawing action was less effective. I moved the knife to another section of line, and my left hand jumped in to help. The second finger of that hand snagged on one of the hooks. The sharp prick made my arm retract, driving the hook in further. In my mind, I see a person trapped beneath their hull by a simple fish hook in their finger. The hook is wound tightly to their prop by nylon monofilament, engineered to prevent a 100-pound thrashing marlin from snapping free. The diameter of the hook's curve is only 3/4 of an inch. Still, the person cannot reach the surface to breathe, cannot saw through the mat of line fast enough, cannot back the hook out. It's barbed to prevent that. I think of the young solo mountain climber, arm pinned by a fallen boulder on the face of a rock canyon. After 127 hours, he cuts through his forearm to free his otherwise doomed body. Yet the inner pad of my middle finger, that puff of interdigit skin, was only pricked by the tip of the barbed hook. I did free my finger. 2 tight kicks propelled me up. Pulling my mask and snorkel off, I sucked in and thrust out 3 heaving breaths. Let's take care of this tomorrow, I called up, when there's more light.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Beth. That's really a powerful story.